kicked in our back door at 3 a.m. My dad heard the wood give, closed his eyes, and smiled. He'd been waiting a month for them to finally do it. For a month, someone had circled our house at night, trying the doors, leaving them open, watching from a car down the block. Then my little sister woke up to a man standing in the yard, just staring at her window. My dad called the police 4 times. Every time, they said the same thing. Until someone actually broke in, there was nothing they could charge anyone with. So my dad stopped calling. He started 2 things instead: getting the house ready, and getting all of it on camera. He oiled every hinge but the back doors, so the one they'd use would scream when it opened. He moved our bedrooms to the front and left the whole back of the house dark and open. One easy path in, and it didn't lead to us. At the end of that path was a closet door he'd quietly swapped for a steel one. He told me that if the dog ever barked at night, I lock my sister in my room and don't open it for anyone but him. The night they came, the back door screamed exactly like he'd built it to. Feet spread into our kitchen. I pulled my sister behind me, hand over her mouth, and counted them by their steps. A flashlight beam slid under our door, stopped, then moved on toward the dark at the back of the house. That's where my dad was waiting, standing still in a room he could cross blind. One by one, they funneled through the steel doorway, chasing the open path. He stepped out behind the last man and pulled it shut. The bar dropped. The men who kicked through a hollow door to get in threw themselves at a steel one, and it didn't move. They were still in there, 20 minutes later, when the police finally pulled up. This time, my dad met them with a month of video. The car, the tried doors, the man at my sister's window, and 3 men sealed in his back hall. For a month, they'd told him no one could do anything until someone came inside. He made sure that the night someone finally did, he had everything, and they had nowhere to go. For 2 weeks, my front door kept unlocking itself at night. My shoes kept showing up muddy by the bed, and I live alone. Every morning, something was a little off. A glass I never used would be sitting in the sink. The thermostat would be turned all the way up. Food I'd saved would be half eaten. My toothbrush was wet in the mornings. My keys would be in a different pocket. Little things, but every single day. My watch logged a 2-mile walk every night at 3 a.m. I was asleep at 3 a.m. A neighbor asked why I'd been standing in her yard Tuesday night. I'd never left my house. Then I found texts on my phone I didn't send to a number I didn't know. Short ones, just almost. I told myself I was sleepwalking. It was the only thing that made sense. So I set a camera in the corner of my bedroom and went to sleep like normal. I almost felt silly. I just wanted proof. The next morning, I watched the whole night back. At 3:02 a.m., I sat up in bed. Someone who looked exactly like me climbed out of my bed while I stayed in it and walked out of the room. It moved like me. It just never blinked. On the video, I watched it track mud across my floor, unlock my front door, and leave. Then I watched it come back before sunrise. It stood at the foot of my bed for almost an hour, looking down at the one still asleep, at me. I've slept with the camera on every night since. I barely sleep at all now, lying still with my eyes half open in the dark. Each night, it stops closer to my bed than the night before. Last night, it was leaning over my pillow when the video ended. I keep the camera on, so I'll know the night it finally climbs in. I just hope that when it does, I'm still the one who wakes up. My principal evacuated the entire school because my backpack moved. He called animal control before anyone could unzip it. It started buzzing and shifting on the floor by my desk in second period. He was walking the hall, saw my bag rocking against the desk leg, and backed out of the doorway with his hands up. He pulled the fire alarm from the hallway. Kids streamed out with their hands on their heads the way he was pointing. One teacher carried her class fish out in its bowl. 1,200 of us ended up across the parking lot. He called the city and told them there was a live, dangerous animal loose in his building. I reached for my own backpack. He stepped between me and it and told me not to touch it. He told the responding officer he'd run this building for 22 years, and he knew a threat when he saw one moving. He made the whole school wait while he guarded the front doors. Phones were already out across the lot. Animal control pulled up in a van. A woman in thick gloves walked in with a catch pole and a clear plastic bin. She motioned everyone farther back, then disappeared inside. She came back out holding the bin at arm's length. 1,200 people leaned in. Inside, it was a bright green plastic snake, still wriggling on its little motor, a price sticker on its belly. My little brother had dropped it in my bag that morning as a joke and left it switched on. She tipped the bin so the principal could see the on-off switch. The officer next to him laughed first. Then it rolled all the way across the lot. He still told the officer to write me up. But he'd already pulled an alarm, evacuated 1,200 students, and called the city out to capture a $4 toy, and named me to a uniformed officer as the kid who brought a threat to school. Every call was logged. Everyone had his name on it. He spent all morning trying to get one dangerous thing out of his building. By Friday, the district got him out of it.
This bedsheet looks like it never gets dirty, no matter what you spill on it. The moment any liquid hits the surface, whether it's juice, coffee, or anything else, it instantly rolls off without leaving a stain. And if a few drops do stay behind, you can wipe them away in seconds. These special sheets are made with hydrophobic material, designed to keep your bed spotless at all times. This hockey player noticed a young fan holding up a sign behind the glass, so he tried to give him a puck, but as soon as the crowd saw it, people started reaching in, trying to grab it for themselves. Seeing that, the player pulled the puck back and made everyone back off, making sure it went exactly where it was meant to. He carefully passed it straight to the boy, and the kid couldn't believe it. It turned out it was his very first hockey game, making the moment even more special. This is what happens when you watch too many episodes of One Punch Man. People call this guy the real-life version of the character because he's built one of the most incredible physiques in the world, all without ever touching steroids. The wild part, he doesn't even compete in bodybuilding. He trains purely for fun, and the most surprising thing of all, his diet. He eats whatever he wants, yet still looks like a Greek god.
Every morning, more food was gone from our kitchen, and my parents were sure it was me. It wasn't. It wasn't a snack here and there, a whole rotisserie chicken, a loaf of bread, a gallon of milk gone overnight. My mom started counting things in the fridge before bed. By morning, the count was always short. She grounded me for lying about it. I told her I never touched it. She said I was the only one awake at night, so they locked the kitchen. The next morning, the lock was fine, and the food was still gone. They decided I was sleepwalking. They put a bell on my door, so they'd hear me leave my room. The bell never rang. The food kept disappearing. I was done being the liar. One night, I propped my phone on the counter and left it recording. In the morning, I watched it before school. At 3 a.m., the basement door opened on its own. A man I had never seen walked up into our kitchen, opened our fridge, and ate standing in the dark like he lived there. Then he took what he wanted, went back down the basement stairs, and shut the door behind him. I didn't go to school. I showed my parents the video, and we called the police from the neighbor's house. The officers found a sleeping bag, a camp lantern, and a month of our missing food stacked behind the water heater. He'd been living under us the whole time. They also found a hole he'd cut in the crawlspace floor. It came up under my bedroom. My mom never said sorry for the chicken, or the bread, or the bell on my door. She just slept in my room with me for a month. We never got the food back. After what we found in the floor, nobody asked about it again. Our power went out at midnight. My mom called 911. 4 minutes later, a police officer was knocking on our door. Her call to 911 never connected. It started as a normal outage. The whole street went dark at once, so we figured a transformer blew. Then my little brother said he saw someone standing in our backyard, just standing there, and the normal night turned into something else. My mom grabbed her phone and dialed 911. It rang once and dropped. No bars. She tried again. Call failed. She kept trying. That's when we saw the headlights. A police cruiser rolled up to the curb, no siren, and a man in a uniform got out and walked straight to our front door. Someone called in a prowler at this address. He said, "I need you to open up so I can clear the house." My mom's whole body relaxed. She reached for the deadbolt. I was still holding her phone. The screen still said call failed. 3 times. Not one of her calls had gone through. I said it out loud. "Mom, your call didn't connect. Nobody knows we're here." She stopped with her hand on the lock. The officer's voice changed. Calmer, friendlier. "Ma'am, it's not safe out there. Let me in and I'll stay with you till the lights come back." He already knew my mom was a man. He already knew there was no man in the house. My dad pulled us back from the door and told the man we'd wait for his partner. The man said he didn't have a partner. Then he said he did. Then he stopped talking and just stood there, the same way my brother said the man in the backyard had been standing. My dad called the real police from the neighbor's landline. The cruiser was gone before they arrived. It wasn't a real cruiser. The plates were from a junkyard. He'd cut the power to 4 houses that month. He never broke it. He waited for scared people to lose their lights, put on a uniform, and let him walk through the front door himself. We just happened to be the family that checked the phone before the lock.
This domestic horse had been missing for 2 years, and when his owner finally found him, he was in terrible shape. He was extremely skinny, and his hooves had grown so long that he could barely walk. The owner had to trim them with a chainsaw, just like cutting overgrown fingernails. Normally, domestic horses need their hooves trimmed regularly to stay healthy, while wild horses naturally wear theirs down by walking long distances. But since this horse wasn't used to surviving on his own, his hooves kept growing unchecked. After getting them properly trimmed, look at his new feet. He's finally able to walk comfortably again and has never felt better. Every night, people go crazy for this because this hotel has a unique way of changing the display for the next day. Guests actually book a stay just to watch it happen live. This one worker puts on a whole performance while swapping everything out, and even though it's a simple task, the crowd cheers like it's a show, turning an ordinary routine into something special every night. This man reveals his secret for drawing in perfect 3D. First, he tapes 2 pencils together, but the most important step is numbering them just like he did. He starts by writing 3D on the paper using the double pencil. Then he traces over the lines made by pencil number 1 with a thick marker and uses a thin marker to go over the lines drawn by pencil number 2. After that, he takes another pencil to fill in the width of each letter, making sure to leave the center sections empty. He then rubs the whole thing with paper to blend it and add depth, finishing with a bit of shading underneath. Look at that result. Would you try this? Did you know that dropping your pizza can actually make it have fewer calories? When this guy saw the trick online and slammed his pizza onto the floor, his girlfriend thought he'd completely lost it. But when he opened the box, it suddenly made sense. The impact forced a ton of grease to soak into the cardboard instead of staying on the pizza, meaning way less fat ends up getting eaten. This man came up with a genius prank to pull on his wife, even though everyone said it would be way too obvious. So he proved them all wrong. First, he cut the mattress exactly to the shape of his body so he could lie inside it perfectly. Then he made the bed with fresh sheets and a blanket so neatly that no one would ever guess he was underneath. 15 minutes later, his wife came home and headed straight to the shower without suspecting a thing. It was already working flawlessly. But after another 10 minutes, she came back out, sat on the bed while texting him to ask where he was, and then lay down, falling right into his trap. Have you ever wondered if it's possible to build a real Iron Man suit like in the movies? Most people think it's pure fiction, but some engineers have actually tried to make it real. At first, most attempts were just suits that looked cool, but had no real functionality. But a guy named Alex spent years secretly working in his basement to change that. His goal was to build armor inspired by the Marvel movies. He even created a small hydrogen-powered system to supply energy and added an exoskeleton that moves when he flexes his muscles. And to this day, he's still working toward finishing a fully functional version. You You've probably never seen anything like this. Someone designed Pokemon shoes that shoot real fire like Charizard, and another pair that blast water like Blastoise to cool it down. This guy spends more than 12 hours a day underwater. He gets paid thousands to do it. That's because he works as a waiter at one of the most unique restaurants in the world, built completely beneath the sea. The idea is simple. Guests can enjoy incredible meals and celebrate with friends while surrounded by the calm, cool water of the ocean.